So in this video, I will share with you what I'm doing with my Trulieve position. As you know, I'm long on Trulieve, my average price is $4.70, and now that the stock is up roughly 90% since my entry point, I think it is time for me to think about what to do with my shares, right? I mean, should I take profits? Should I buy more shares? So, that's what we are going to discuss today. Before we begin though, as always, nothing in this video is investment advice, okay? And with that said, let's get started. So first, am I selling my position? Am I planning to do that? Nope. Now, why not? Well, in short, because I think Trulieve still has a lot of room to run. Yeah, Trulieve stock has just gone up 36% in only 1 week, but frankly, I think that's just the beginning. And I say that because I believe the cannabis market is about to grow massively over the next decades. I think cannabis will get rescheduled, and I think it will eventually be legalized at the federal level as well. So in summary, I think the cannabis industry has a bright future ahead of it. And if that comes to be true, well then, I think the prospects could also be great for Trulieve. After all, considering the whole sector, Trulieve has the best margins overall, okay? It seems to be the most efficient operation, and it also dominates Florida, which is a massive market. So yeah, if the future is bright for cannabis, then it must also be bright for Trulieve. And that's the first reason why I will not sell my shares at the current price, because I think the cannabis market is still in its early days, so there's still a lot of upside on the table. Besides, Trulieve is still trading at quite low multiples, in my opinion. I mean, as we see here, Trulieve is trading at an enterprise value to sales multiple of only 1.7 times. However, in exuberant market times, as we can see here, it can trade at much higher multiples than that. For instance, in 2021, Trulieve traded at 8.7 times. Oh, but back then, the macro scenario, the macro environment was completely different. Interest rates were near zero, so the market was simply too optimistic. Yes, I know. But I think we could see a similar optimism regarding the cannabis sector again. I mean, think about when cannabis finally gets rescheduled. What do you think will happen to these names? Investors will probably simply rush into these stocks. And valuation won't matter at all. That's my expectation, at least. That's what I see happening. So yeah, I think we could see exuberant multiples, exuberant valuations again. And that's when I plan to sell my shares. After all, we want to sell our assets at the best, at the highest possible price. So that's the second reason why I'm not selling my shares yet, even after the recent run-up. Because even though the stock went up 35% last week, I believe it still has a ton of upside to deliver, because Trulieve is still trading at low multiples. So yeah, I'm not planning to sell my shares at all. But okay, now if I'm not planning to sell my shares, does that mean that I'm planning to buy more shares instead? Well, not exactly. But no, I'm not planning to buy more Trulieve shares, at least not at the current price. Not at the current valuation. I mean, as I just mentioned, Trulieve is currently trading at an enterprise value to sales multiple of around 1.7 times. Now, while that's not expensive, that's also not obviously cheap. So that's why I'm not planning to buy more shares at the current levels. Instead, I simply prefer to focus on other stocks. I simply prefer to buy other names that I believe are cheaper. For example, Reclaim, which is another position of mine that I've been covering here on my channel for more than a year now. But yeah, I think Reclaim shares might be a better investment when compared to Trulieve. So I'm seriously considering buying more Reclaim shares instead of Trulieve. That's one of the stocks I'm planning to redirect the resources I was first planning to invest in Trulieve. So that's one of my options. So no, I'm not buying Trulieve stock at the current levels. However, with that said, if Trulieve were to drop considerably and trade at around 1 times enterprise value to sales, well then, that would be a completely different story, right? But for Trulieve to trade at that multiple, it would need to come back to around $4.50. Now, I don't know if it will get there, but if it does, well then, I will likely be interested on buying more. And at that valuation, I would feel quite safe doing that. But to close this video, in summary, That's my trading plan regarding Trulieve. To simply keep holding the shares I have that I bought at $4.70. I'm not planning to sell my position anytime soon, since we could see much higher prices, right? However, I'm also not considering adding to my existing position. I would only do that if the stock dropped to obviously cheap levels. So, that's it for today, and see you next time.